Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trev Foreman, and today we're going to be talking about the Stretch Mr. Buzz. What's up with the Buzz? Well, the Mr. Buzz was designed by Stretch to be the smallest high-performance board that you can possibly surf, and it's meant to be ridden up to 10 to 12 inches shorter than your high-performance shortboard. Just to give you some dimensions, Josh Mulcoy, who rides for Real and Stretch, he typically rides a 5'10 to 6 foot performance shortboard. His Mr. Buzz is a 5'1", and even at that short of a length, he finds it to be more forgiving, and a lot of times, especially in average surf, easier to surf than his high-performance shortboard. So up to 10 to 12 inches shorter than your high-performance shortboard. Looking at the board, minimalist design, trying to get the volume of the board as small as you can, and then regain the accessibility and the user-friendly qualities through the design of the board rather than just the sheer amount of foam in the board. How do we do this? Again, you want to use a little bit wider nose and flatter nose rocker. By having less rocker up here and a wider planing surface in the front of the board, you're going to enable the board to paddle across the top or even underneath the water through the water rather than plowing water if there was a narrow nose that had a lot of rocker in it. Moving through the board, you can see in the tail of the board, you've got quite a bit of area all the way back to the tail block. And the Mr. Buzz has the wider of the two tail blocks, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but the wider of the two tail blocks between the Mr. Buzz and the Super Buzz. And there's also a good amount of rocker in the back third of the Mr. Buzz. So when you pair those two up, what does it give you? Big tail block equals a lot of lift, equals a lot of drive and a lot of speed down the line. The other place where you're getting that lift from is a really deep single to double concave in the bottom shape. So if you're looking single concave in the front of the board, then goes into a deep double, upwards of 1/4 of an inch from the stringer line to the rail, 1/4 of an inch deep here, which is a lot for to run that deep in between here and the stringer. A lot of lift, and it makes the board really easy to go rail to rail across a wide tail, and just give you a lot of drive, a lot of lift. Again, getting back that user-friendly characteristics that you used to get from foam, just getting it from design instead. Where does the Mr. Buzz fit into your quiver? The Mr. Buzz would replace your high-performance shortboard in the conditions you would typically ride your high-performance shortboard. So the Mr. Buzz with that accelerated tail rocker is going to be the most maneuverable of the two, and it's going to need a little bit more push in the wave, but typically you're going to use this on a average to a really good day. It's going to work well as the waves get a little bit better than average, and then as you get into like a good day, that's really when the board's going to light up. So again, ride it about up to 10 to 12 inches shorter than your performance shortboard, and ride it in good conditions, and this is where you're really going to enjoy this board. All of the Mr. Buzz boards are set up with that wider tail. They're all dedicated quads. With this much tail area, you have to have a quad just to support the tail area. And this board is set up with one of the preferred fin setups that you're going to see in this board, which are the future controller quads. These fins work really well. We found them to work really well on the Mr. Buzz, the Super Buzz. They also work incredibly well on the Lost Bottom Feeder, the Lost Plank, the Uber Plank. It's definitely a go-to fin for the wider quad tail boards. If you just throw in any old pair of quads that you have on this board with something with this much tail area, typically you're not going to be impressed with the performance of the board, and it's not the board's fault, it's just that you're underfinned with the amount of fin that you have in the board. So this is the Mr. Buzz. Check out, if you haven't had a chance, check out Nathan Fletcher in the new Analog Chromatic movie. There's a whole Mr. Buzz section in there. You watch that a few minutes of him on this board and you'll be definitely convinced that you can ride it short and what it does, because just the amount of speed you can generate on these things and places you can go on the wave, places that you haven't been before and speeds you haven't been to yet. So it's definitely a good time. Check it out, the Mr. Buzz from Stretch.